Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Coffee Break, and I am back for the first game of B versus T. This is being casted not live. This is part of the Coffee Cast Open Tournament in the losers round 4, I believe. We are going to be going ahead and seeing a Terran versus Terran in this matchup here on dual side. On the right side, on the death side of dual side, we will be having T as the red Terran player. And our blue player over here, who is voicing complaints about wanting to leave, is our blue Terran B. Now, I don't exactly know why. I don't want to. Yeah, I have to. I think that this is just a continuation of some comments that were going on prior to the start of the game. So I have no idea what any of those are about. But B, shame on you for not wanting to play, because I've got some news for you. You're about to do really well. For those of you who have not looked at the brackets, spoiler alert, about 5 seconds late, T is going to be dropping a barracks down at the top of his ramp as well. B is putting his a little bit further back. I know, you know, in Terran vs. Zerg, you always do want to wall this ramp off. I'm not a huge fan of it in things like Terran vs. Terran and Terran vs. Protoss, because it doesn't really do that much in the early game. The point of the wall is, in the early games, Zerglings don't get into your base. But it's extraordinarily rare that you see any sort of Zealot rush or, you know, Marine Marauder rush, maybe a little bit more. But at the same token, a Marauder's going to just decimate this supply depot. And even a Marine's going to be able to take it down fairly quickly. And so, really, I feel like these are just kind of lost cause buildings where if you're already going to lose, it'll slow them down for a little bit. And I like these being a little bit further back, because otherwise, if B were able to get sight of the high ground from the low ground, he could just pick away at the supply depot without being able to be retaliated by T. Not too big of a deal, though. Not too big of a deal. I do know that these two players practice together quite a bit, so their builds are going to be very, very even. I would assume that B is going to do some sort of Marine tank play. T, on the other hand, does like to do some wacky builds sometimes, though, and a lot of time it can really pay off. Some of his builds are element of surprise builds. Other builds of his are just kind of so different that they just work. We do see B scouting SCV getting picked off, but it did see the important thing, which is this expansion here. So B should know that there really isn't much in the way of gas for T yet, because when you're doing a fast expand like this, you really need all the minerals that you can get. It does look like B is going for a little bit of one base play in this game, as he is getting the tech lab down on the barracks and the factory already with double gas. So once again, probably going to be doing some sort of Marine tank play. Second barracks going down now. And I almost wonder if he might be doing some sort of rush to tank, just to try to catch his opponent off guard, because once again, T did go for this fast expand, and a quick Marine tank timing push could do a lot of damage. And take a look at that, it's a scantipede. So this Marine right here will not be able to do too much. I mean, unless another scout decides to come in. There are only 2 Marines down on the field right now. Second barracks about halfway done. In the meantime, though, B does have siege tech on the way, should have a siege tank on the way fairly shortly. And one thing I find kind of interesting, there are very few units in the game that are more than, well, I wouldn't say more than, there are very few units in the game that are an odd number greater than 1 in terms of supply. Siege tanks are one of them. And I'm a Protoss player personally, and anytime I try to play Terran, that jacks me up so bad I cannot get that through my head. It's just awful. It really is. We do have 1 siege tank on the way now, as well as maybe a couple Marines coming out of there soon, I hope. B just being down on himself. I think that he thinks his build order is going badly. I don't think that he realizes how good of a counter his build is to T's fast expand here. B, yep, looked like he did mess up a little bit there, but as T, you sarcastic bastard, as any Starcraft player out there knows, no matter how much you mess up, there is always a way to salvage the build. And I would really like to see B just try to do a little bit of early aggression. He once again does have siege tech done now, so that he could push up. And once he sieges up, even with these Marines here, there really isn't much T would be able to do, because he can't push up and try to take out the tank, because the tank will wail away at the Marines, and the leftover Marines for B will wail away at T's Marines, and it just wouldn't turn out well. And I mean, at this point in time, there's really not much T can do to counter the units on the field for B. I think a second C-Tank would be extraordinarily beneficial, but it does look like B is going to just try to push up now, which it's kind of getting to that point where he does really need to, because T does have double mule production and 6 SCVs over B. B only now getting his command center down, and now T knows his attack is coming. The C-Tank really needs to siege up ASAP, and no, it's easing up a little bit late. The Marines are trying to move in and take out the tank. It will get one volley off, though. Will the tank survive? That's going to be a really big deal if it does, and yes, the tank indeed does survive. All the Marines for B survive as well, so B not sustaining a single casualty. There is now one tank out on the field. These Marines need to fall back a little bit to the C-Tank's firing line, and there we go, now taking out some of the SCVs. That's exactly what B needed to do, and that's going to even up this game now. There is, once again, one C-Tank on the field for T, but there's no siege mode yet for that. No siege mode even in resource. Just kind of going up with triple Marine production right now to try to fend off any future attack, and that doesn't quite swing the Harvester favor into B's favor. I know that there were some units killed there, only 4 workers, but it does help even the playing field just a little bit, because otherwise, if you look at this, T would be 10 full Harvesters ahead and double mule production ahead, and that would just be devastating for B. He probably would not be able to come back from that. But instead, he's able to push up, do a little bit of damage, take out some SCVs, take out even a few of the forces of T, and now he's sitting in a reasonable position with his own expansion up. And if he makes sure to stay on top of his double SCV production, he really won't be that bad in this game. We do have a Banshee on the way now for T. I do not know if Siege Tech has been started yet. I don't think it has. Oh, no, it's already finished. So, Siege Tech was kind of a faster upgrade, apparently, since I can look one moment, talk a little bit about an expansion, and look up and it's done already. But a Banshee is on the way for T, and I've seen him favor Banshee play a lot in Terran vs. Terran. A lot of Terran players will use Vikings to maintain that air control so that their Siege Tanks can continue to shoot. But T really favors the Banshees just because it gives a little bit of air-to-ground power against opponents' Siege Tanks. And I do kind of understand that. I like it, but in another right, I would also really like to see maybe 1 or 2 Banshees and then going in Viking construction. It does look like T is going to try to push it, but instead just loses a huge volley to Marine, a huge amount of Marines to a couple of volleys, and it's forcing T Siege Tanks to back up, actually. He really should have kept that siege, so now it gives B an opportunity to move up and siege up and be able to just attack more. It doesn't look like this one barracks here is going to go down. There are 3 siege tanks on the ramp that are being held up by Marines, and SCVs cannot quite get down the ramp, and now the siege tank on the ramp at the bottom there also blocking off these 2 siege tanks, and now they're just not in range of anything. And B really kind of has free reign on this expansion for T, able to take out a couple of barracks and reactors. This barrack will likely fall as well. I'd like to see them focus that down before it gets into siege tank range, but no, instead going all out for the overall command. Now T's trying to push up with his siege tank and Marines and Marauders, trying to be able to break this siege. It's going to be close. I do think that he's going to get it though, but once again, heavy losses sustained by T, and also quite heavy losses sustained by B. T does indeed clean that up, but one more siege tank back, able to take out one last siege tank of T. But siege tanks unsieged do out DPS siege tanks with siege. They just do more damage per second. But siege tanks with siege obviously get that splash damage to give take. But once again, B being very relentless with this pressure is falling quite a bit further behind in that harvester count now, actually 14 SCVs behind, but continuing up heavily with his siege tank production. So he is just trying to end this game at all costs. It doesn't look like there's a Banshee down in the natural expansion for B, but all B really needs to do is lift this command center off, and he's beaten the Banshee aggression. I mean, truly, because he has these 2 missile turrets going up in space, and I'd really like to see him do that rather than waste minerals repairing the overall command, especially when Banshee's 2-shot Marines now, pulling a few more Marines back. Cloak does go down. B does have enough energy for a scan, though, would be able to pick this off. Indeed, he does scan, and the Banshee will get away with 3 health. The Banshee does indeed get away with 3 health. Making me cough a little bit there. Dry throat syndrome from an awesome game so far. B being super aggressive. Once again, I would like to see him just get 1 or 2 Vikings out to be able to get air control, maybe of medevac, since there's no anti-air for T. Now throwing a lot of missile turrets. I think this many missile turrets is by far unnecessary, especially with how much, I mean, he's not banking all that many resources. He used to spend those maybe on a couple extra barracks. But look at the bank for T, just not quite playing on top of his game right now. I really feel like he could be doing a lot better. Definitely supply blocked really, really badly. Just now getting that supply depot down. Could probably use to throw 2 more down. And now throwing down 2 more barracks with reactors. And that's exactly what you need to do when you start banking this many minerals, is just throw down buildings. Nothing will spend your money faster than throwing down a bunch of buildings, especially production buildings. You see him bank up a lot, so what's he do? He gets 2 barracks with reactors on them to double produce Marines. He just throws down 3 or 4 supply depots at one time, 10 Marines at a time, throws down an armory, a command center, engineering bay. That is what you want to do, because if you're banking that much, you're going to be able to spend that much, is really what it just comes down to. And I do really like getting the engineering bay and armory now so that he can begin upgrading his Marines and tanks. Really probably should have been doing that quite a while ago to be able to try to secure a lead in this game. But so far, not the player really securing lead. We do have a slight upgrade advantage going to B, as his Marines are 0-1. Oh man, B really needs to siege up right now, because the army for T is incoming now. Yes, indeed, he does siege up, and T would be very wise to not engage his army, but instead he did try and push in. B does have watchtower control, which means that he does have that tight range for his tanks, and now he's just going to be able to go up and annihilate the tanks for B, for T, but he really needs to fall back to his siege tank line, and there he goes, falling back to his siege tank line, so he needs to make sure to take out this Banshee, and he will be able to do just fine, and T sustaining super, super heavy losses, and in that battle, he did fall 1,200 resources behind. It was fairly even up until this point. So B, a very, very nice attack. Alright, I guess I should say hold, as T was the one who attempted to attack, but was unable to push in. And that was perfect positioning for B. Right here on that watchtower, his Marines held the watchtower. So he did have the watchtower range, was able to see the enemy siege tanks and the enemy Marines coming into the battle, and was able to just overpower his opponent with superior siege tank fire in that last engagement. We do see 6 tanks to the 2 of T, so able to take out a couple of extra tanks and continue his own tank production. It is now sitting very, very nicely in the tank count. We also do see that he is behind by 20 Marines though, which isn't too big of a deal because he does have air superiority now. And Marines versus tank fire, I will take the tanks and the air superiority any day. You have a couple of benches trying to push in for T. However, these missile turrets are now in place. And earlier I was saying that this is kind of overboard. But then again, I suppose that does go against my philosophy of if you think you're in danger, just lay down the defense. I'm a huge fan of laying down that extra bunker, laying down an extra 2 or 3 photon cannons even, just to be safe. And I guess it's kind of paying off when these Banshees are trying to harass. They just can't get in. There's detection, there's anti-air fire, and now it looks like B is pushing up for another attack. This is why I don't like putting buildings on the ramp here, and I guess in this case near the edge, because they're in range of the siege tank fire. A couple of siege tanks unsieged right now, and Marines trying to push up, going to want to get those siege as soon as he can. And now B will be able to line up his tanks along this lava line here and be able to just annihilate any enemy forces, because he does have the Viking range. And you see right there, B didn't lose a single unit and slaughtered every single Marine of T, and it just forces T to GG out of the game. Ladies and gentlemen, I say it every single time I cast a TVT, get air superiority. You saw right there once again, T's Marine just lined up for the slaughter right here behind this lava line. This lava line does block any sight range to the other side, as you will see right here. He can't actually see these tanks. He can see that they're shooting, but he cannot shoot back at them. Has to get across this lava line, and in the meantime, B's Vikings see across the lava line. His tanks are able to fire across it and able to completely mop up T's forces, losing an extra 2,500 minerals in about the past 30 seconds. B losing none. B is able to take game number 1 and will advance to game number 2 in the B vs T series, and that will be in the archives here on coffeebreak.weebly.com. If you've not already, subscribe to this channel. I will be putting up a lot more pro games and a lot more amateur games in the future, so don't go away. B vs T game number 2 is coming up soon. This is Coffee Break, signing out.